Okay, last time you did this to me, I just kind of put it in my mouth.
Last time it was on the floor, though.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Alien Familiar RPG Podcast. I am Clayton.
I'm Lanina.
I'm KD.
You alright there?
Yeah, I just mid-introduction was like, I have water in my mouth, I need to swallow it quickly.
You mean vanilla Coke?
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed.
Do you want to redo that?
Yeah, let's redo that.
No, keep going with it. It's personality. Haley, who are you?
I'm Haley.
I'm Nina.
You all know me. I'm good old Pyle Kirkins.
Alright, Kyle, nice to meet you.
Yeah, newcomer to the podcast. Pyle, what can you tell me about yourself?
I got a 3-inch ego, but a 9-inch car. It's a truck. It's a Humvee.
Pyle Kirkins, everyone.
Okay, before we get started, I just want to remind all of our listeners, all three of you, that you can find show notes and more at alienfamiliar.com. You can email us at alienfamiliarmedia at gmail.com. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/alienfamiliar. And I am personally on Discord as DM Scorpio number 0660. And we have a channel specifically for Alien Familiar Media now on Discord. Thanks.
If you want, you can friend me on Instagram at FoxCarrick or at Twitter at Carrick, K-E-R-I-C. I don't use it much. No?
Oh,
Nobody?
okay. Me, because I use Instagram a lot. Follow me at Bay the Fae. I do game stuff and cosplay, and sometimes I don't wear clothes. That's all I got.
It's not that kind of account.
I don't want to friend any of you. And I hope you never meet me in real life, because I'm just a mistake.
No, but I'm on Discord with Clayton. Yay! I don't know my numbers, so I'm just gonna... I stream at Fire Amethyst on Twitch. It's just twitch.tv//Fire Amethyst. And Discord. I help Clayton make the thing.
And I'm very much appreciative of the help you've given so far. Today's topic is we're going to be talking about using games to work through real-world problems. We've talked about in the past, well, a couple of episodes ago, we talked about echoes in reality, real-world affecting the game. So this time we're kind of going to go at it at a different angle of having the game affect real life, or what happens in the game being used to help work through stuff that's happening in the real life. And I've kind of broken this down into either as characters or as a story as a whole, as players using the game as a way of understanding self, as a way of understanding others, as a way of seeing what you yourself might be like with a different personality, or if some events in your life had gone differently. And last, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of using characters as a form of kind of personal therapy in some sort of way. So, back on the first point of using characters as a way of understanding yourself, we've said on here many times in various iterations that pretty much every character you play is in some way a reflection of yourself. You really can't make a character who isn't you, because all of your experiences are influencing how you interpret a set of abilities or a set of traits into the characters that you play. And to take it a step further, as far as understanding yourself, I've used several characters to try to get understanding as to why I have certain beliefs. An example would be, so an early example of this would have been whenever this was essentially my second character I ever made. This character was very uncomfortable around people. I made this character when I was in my very late teens, very uncomfortable around people. And so I kind of used the interactions with the other player characters who were my friends in order to kind of explore how I kind of got to that place where I was such a shy person. My character kind of mirrored my background in some of the events that had happened in my life in that point, I feel like that exploration allowed me to have a better understanding of why, in a lot of cases, I was so insecure with with just getting my opinions out. Considering that now I'm running this podcast, I think I've kind of used that in that experience to kind of get over a lot of those issues that I was having at the time.
Our listeners literally, they number in the dozens. At least 24 people listening to you right now, not including us at the table. Get more. We gotta get more. Gotta pump that up.
You gotta get good.
I can put it on my stream hand.
Another way that we can increase listenership is if everybody who is listening were to go on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever you listen to our podcast on and give us a review. That would increase our visibility in the algorithms that a lot of these use.
I use RPGs to get over my crippling fear of asking for reviews. and it has helped. Go on iTunes, Stitcher, please rate, review.
Also, the best type of advertisement is word of mouth, so tell your friends to listen to it.
Like, comment, subscribe.
In all seriousness, though, Clayton, I think that's a good place to start for me as well. One of the things that RPGs has certainly done for me, I didn't start until college, but the sentiment was the same. Using that buffer of its character interaction within a game, not going out and actually doing something in real life, definitely helped me to not be afraid to kind of step up in a group and realize that I have something to say and I have actions that could be taken that are worthwhile. Like, you know, I in high school I was a big fucking slug. Took a backseat to everything at literally at parties where all my friends would be out around the bonfire hanging out and getting frisky. I would go inside and hang out with the parents, just help them cook and shit. And the parents loved me. I was like a little old man. I was like a Benjamin Button.
So we have RPGs to claim for our captain in most games.
In college, obviously, I couldn't hang out with my professors. They hated me. And, because I was I was an 18-year-old, 17-year-old freshman. And nobody wants to hang out with those if you're an esteemed professor. And so I had to get over that. I had to hang out with my friends. Concept. What a fucking concept.
You were forced to. You were forced to hang out with your
RPGs
friends.
were good for that. They really were. They really were.
Who wants to hang out with a 17-year-old anyway?
I'm on your train, KP, but on the opposite scale. Because for your listeners who haven't met me, I'm kind of a handful. I'm a one-whole person. That's a lot. I'm very selfish, and I feel like RPGs have really helped me learn how to collaborate and be a team player and allow other people to step forward and have ideas. And I remember when I was first started playing RPGs in my freshman dorm as a 16-year-old.
Baby!
Why were you 16 in college?
I skipped a grade.
Jesus. I just had a late birthday.
And I graduated. Wow.
Throw in
I have a
shade.
degree!
How do you
It's in the
know
mail.
it's fine?
Anyway, sorry. So, freshman year, 16, started playing RPGs. It was really helpful because our DM would give us challenges where you can't do it alone. You have to work.
I feel one-upped. I feel like you said that just specifically because I said I was a 17-year-old freshman. They have not helped you to be less selfish. They have helped you to communicate your own selfish desires more efficiently. Admit it. Admit it.
It's true. All of it. No.
I mean, I was 18 as a freshman.
Yeah, like a normal human being.
Yeah. Same,
I just wanted to relate the story structure. Anyway, so
You guys really couldn't drink. You especially.
I remember there was a moment where I was over at place and we were hanging out, and then oh no, I can't tell that story. I was 16. So back on topic. My point being, RPGs have really helped me better work with my friends, and because I am always a very creative person, I feel like sometimes that's the only thing I can add to a group. I really appreciate it when my friends have all these really cool ideas and are inventive, because my friends think differently than I do, and they can look at problems and puzzles completely differently than I do, and I really appreciate how RPGs have helped me learn how to give them that time so they can show how really cool and great they are. I feel like I've become a better team player in games and in real life, and I really appreciate that.
Friendship.
So, when I got my master's in electrical engineering at the age of 12,
You personally attacked.
You had me at master's? I actually was going to be like, oh, I had a master's degree, cool. And then I was like, let's go wait a minute, at 12, and then you lost me. Then I knew you were fucking stealing.
When I was born into college.
Yeah.
That's
I
also
got
gave
my,
birth to me in a classroom.
When I got my doctorate at 10 and wrote my thesis on, chaos theory at 11.
After I went to MIT.
Chaos magic.
Somebody have an actual point that's not just attacking me.
I believe Clayton does.
Like,
no, I was just...
Oh, well, never mind.
And then all hope was lost. For when we looked to the west, expecting the forces of Clayton to surround our enemies and puncture their armor, nay, it was a lie. It was nothing. Yeah, RPGs have definitely helped me work on my voices. I think I got some cool voices. Maybe, I'm no Henry Zabrowski, but, fucking, who can be?
I mean,
Henry Zabrowski
Yeah.
can be.
Shut up, Kyle!
I think the Fate game that you ran when a bunch of us were here specifically helped you with voice acting because you had to do like about 23 different voices.
oh yeah, all those familiars.
That's been cool though. It's like theater. It's like, doing some creative shit with your mind.
And your mouth.
I can do creative shit with my mouth.
You bite yourself.
Yeah, no. Stop talking about cunnilingus. Let's start talking about some RPGs. It is indeed like acting. You get to practice. You get to put on
Cunnilingus or RPGs?
I just don't want to stop talking about just that sweet eaten
Yikes!
of
Wow.
sesame chicken, brought to you by yours truly, General Manager, Fusion Noodle Company. Today's podcast is brought to you by Sesame Chicken
And the Fusion Noodle Company.
and Fusion Noodle Train.
not,
No, it's not.
though.
It's brought to you by acting. And how, I think I've seen all of you guys, put on characters that are surprising and voices that are amazing. I'll never forget a few characters of all of you, especially thinking about Clayton right now, though, because fuck the rest of you. What are you doing? What are you doing?
This was my
She's
best
owling.
character.
For that.
It was so good.
Okay.
It was so good.
No, I was trying to pass that off so I could stop talking.
I'll throw this out here. I'm the opposite of Haley in that, in
every way.
many respects. But specifically in that RPGs help make me more selfish, not in a bad way. Prior to that, God, I was just too much of a team player. I just really...
Go on.
That's like a job interview. What's your biggest flaw? Well, I'm just too much of a team player.
Guys, I really strove to create synergy within my social groups.
I do everything as a team. Everything.
No, I don't know. I was less willing to, try to explore my own ambitions and or what limited ambitions I've had over the course of my terrible life. But I was less willing to do those things. I was definitely more of a, we'll just do what's best for the group, or we'll, do all these compromises, but, being a different person that wasn't yourself, but, still in that social group through RPGs kind of helped you realize, wow, I can do other things, and, it's okay for me to sort of enforce what I want to do or explore things that, I want, even if the rest of the group doesn't want that. So I think that was, an interesting thing that RPGs helped cultivate in real life. What I'm basically saying is I'm not a team player. I'm the exact opposite. I've never actually done anything anyone's ever wanted in my life.
I can attest to that.
So
I think I understand what you're getting at. I was a bit of a pushover as a youth, as a lad, and RPGs definitely help you to try shit that you want to do. And hey, if it works in a game, maybe it'll work in real life. That one time that I walked up to that girl and was like, "Look at my satchel of rare emeralds."
and she was like, gems, and you're like,
And then she kicked me in the gems. And I had to go to the hospital. I bled for days.
Well,
Don't do everything in RPGs. Don't bring it over to real life. All of it. Some of it.
See, I'm not a pushover, but I was a compromiser. So I'm not you. Is what I'm getting.
Again, I'm one up. Okay, all right. Just trying to relate, Kyle.
No.
God, this podcast is tearing us apart.
Do you guys have any experiences you'd like to share?
Directed at the Ninas.
Oh, I see. I mean, I suffer from debilitating social anxiety, or at least, I mean, oh my god, or at least I did. No, but like, it was a lot worse before I did RPGs. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Oh god.
It helped you overcome that?
Yeah, there's like not much more to say to that
That's
one
fair.
though. Like
No,
I
I
was
get
just
it.
the shyest person,
And now
I'm
you're a social
no,
butterfly.
now I'm like a normal level of shy person.
That's fair.
I've learned through RPGs that no matter what I do, if I don't get angry and eventually yell at people, they won't ever listen. And that was a thing I couldn't do before. And that doesn't sound like a good thing, but it is, because I would just stop talking and revert and go back into not being heard. And now I sometimes patiently wait for people to stop talking and then continue on and push that. Or if I'm repeatedly interrupted or overwhelmed, I get angry and yell at people. And angry and being upset like that was not a thing I did prior. It's a thing I do now, which is a weird concept to me. But it's a good concept, because emotions are healthy and good.
I'll say this, guys. I just want to give everyone on the table, just give yourselves a pat on the back. Really,
I
do
refuse.
Do it. Okay.
For one thing, I can't reach my own back.
That's or a shoulder, maybe. Pat on the
I
shoulder.
can pat my girth, my girdle area.
That's fine. Because you know what none of us said? RPGs help me learn that actions have consequences. So
Oh, yeah.
we all learned that.
Oh no!
Yeah.
No.
What kind of person is that?
You'd be surprised.
A real person.
I've listened to a couple episodes of podcasts like this with this particular topic, and they're like, yeah, I never really just realized how far-reaching
Oh god.
of, my actions, like what consequences they had and how far-reaching into the future they could be. And I was like, what?
I do have a thing that RPGs have taught me, and that's who are the right people I want to be with in my life. And I feel like I often judge people on how they play RPGs.
Oh my god!
No, it's true.
Jesus Christ.
No,
I think
okay.
that's a legitimate judgment
Yeah.
to
No,
make.
yeah, for real. Like, if you think, like, if your fantasy is a world, like, I don't know, like, you treat people just awful all the time, and you are a murder hobo in fantasy, it really makes you question if you're a murder hobo in real life. And oftentimes the answer is yes. I've met lots of murder hobos, and I've cut them from my life, and I feel so much better, but also, I test all of the people I might date by bringing them to my RPG groups. And if they can't get along with people, if they don't want to be there, if they're not having fun and don't like my friends and their characters, I can't date them. And I brought to a game once, and now he's our DM, and he's perfect.
I was gonna make fun of you, but no, you're right. You're right.
I'll say this,
Can't
though.
argue with that.
I think you can't jump the gun on people immediately.
Meaning, don't let them know immediately that you play RPGs
Yes,
like
that's-
16 times a week.
that's
Yeah, no,
exactly-
don't freak them out. Don't do it.
That, but also, like, I don't know. Sometimes people might play a murder hobo for their first ever character and then not do it ever again.
No, I mean, you can't judge someone on a one-shot, but, like, I'm talking campaign level.
Like, if they're
judgment.
only
Yeah.
murder hobos every game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or, like, for example, in board games, when you play Forbidden Desert and they go out of their way to sabotage the game because they think it's fun. Like, if you can't get along with people, I don't want to hang out with you. You know who you are.
Is
You're
that
not
person still
listening.
single? Because you could toss them my way. That sounds awesome. I love dating saboteurs.
No. She's currently sleeping with my ex-boyfriend. She's a bad person. I don't
Wow,
like her.
that's
But-
just everyone. I'm glad we all got a glance into Haley's personal life.
I've met a few people that, specifically, I've met one person that consistently has played murder hobos, and I still kept them around, and finally I'm in a game with them in which they're not playing a murder hobo, and it's bizarre, and ironically it's my game. Maybe he's just being nice to me. Because he doesn't want to make me deal with all of his consequences.
I love the concept of you keeping people around like some kind of menagerie.
Well, of course. What else are friends
To
are
be
for?
was
fair,
gonna
you,
say-
you know the person, Kyle, or indirectly, and it is definitely someone you keep around. Like, just
Oh.
That's why I went,
you just said it though. You said it again.
I'm so sure it did not pick up.
And even if it did, there will be a bleep there.
Wait a minute, you're telling me that we got some kind of post-processing pathway to success that you can edit this shit, Clayton?
Yes, I have all the power in this relationship.
Holy fucking
Hold the
bitch
power.
tits.
What?
Holy fucking bitch tits.
Man.
Man tit fuck.
Man, tit fuck.
Blood of a dead man. Alright, moving on. What about... Okay, we've talked a lot about things we've, like, overcome in our early stages of RPG playing. Like, wow, it's, pretty quickly after starting RPGs, like, they helped me with X. What about stuff that today, as a bunch of seasoned veterans, what are you learning?
Oh, that thing that I
Hey,
said
boy.
earlier was, like, recently.
Oh.
Like, that was, like, relatively recently, within the last couple of months. Like, I kind of realized that.
Okay, good transition, though. I'm still I'm correct.
We already transitioned into ways of using the game to understand others. And really, Haley's point of if a player always plays an asshole, there comes a point where you gotta realize, you know what, you're playing with an asshole.
Yeah. Having Kyle around is like having like a focus group of 12-year-olds.
Sorry, I feel like he's channeling his inner 17-year-old freshman.
Oh, Jesus.
Playing RPGs with strangers is really weird, because you never know what to expect, and I feel like that's a good way to jump into, like, talking with strangers and being in, like, parties or even, like, work strangers. It's very bizarre how much that helps. I don't know if you've ever played, like, an RPG with just a group of strangers. I'm saying to the general populace around me, because I can't look at anybody else.
Yeah,
but
yes, I have. And it was y'all.
But it's really weird. And I feel like that helped me a lot with finding ways to like, because you can say a bunch of shit with your friends. You can't say some of that shit with strangers. And so it's a good way to help with conversation and easing into saying stranger things and trying to figure that all out.
Figure that all out. Huh. I agree with you.
So the way I met Jordan was he was posted up in the friendly local comic book shop, and that's how I got to know him. He was running a game. Everybody, like, I think there was one other player who he had played with before, and we're going to meet him here in a couple of days, and he's going to be on a future actual play podcast whenever that gets released. Every time a new campaign starts, you are introducing yourself to new characters, and that very much mimics in real life whenever you've got to introduce yourself to new people for the first time. It's a trope, it's a cliche that that starting a new game and the awkwardness that goes into the player characters meeting for the first time. After I've done it for nearly 20 years, I'm getting to the point where I am using those experiences in my real life of how to introduce myself. Like, in job interviews, I use everything that I've learned in role-playing games to present myself in a version that the employer is going to want to hire. I put on a persona of the person who is going to get this job. And I feel like role-playing games have really helped me to be able to get into that mindset, to leave my actual shy, nervous, neurotic parts of myself outside of that door, so that whenever I step into the office in order to have that interview, I'm there, I am on point, I am talking constantly of the things that they want to hear. In my current job, whenever I first got hired, my boss actually called me out several months later after I had been hired because I was so much more shy and quiet than what I had presented myself in the meeting itself.
I think code switching is absolutely a skill many people take for granted, but if you come across someone that can't do it or is very bad at it, code switching. Like when you, okay, a real life example. When I go to an Appalachian auto repair shop with my roommate Kyle, and we pretend to be brothers so as to build a sense of camaraderie with the very Appalachian mechanic. do I walk in there and go, oh, why, yes, Kyle, we were just finishing a conversation about books and such. Oh, hello there, young man. I would love for you to take a look at my motorized
Motor
carriage."
vehicle.
Or does good old boy Kyle come
No,
out?
you fucking goddamn right. I go in there, I'm like, hey, man, my brother here hit a curb pretty bad. I was wondering if you can come out. I know it's a lube shop, but if you wouldn't mind taking a look at the muffler. You guys got a welder around here? I mean, it would be like an after-hours thing. Yeah, no, absolutely. We can come back, no problem at all. Yeah. Code switching, it's great. And if you come across, and that's a silly example, but that is an actually completely true story that I just said. Every part of it, really. But if you come across someone who is a service industry worker, or you talk to your professor or boss, or you talk to a friend of 20 years, you're gonna act a little bit different around those people. If you come across someone who doesn't know how to code switch, or is bad at it, they come across as very awkward, sometimes confrontational, and I think RPGs has absolutely, hands down, especially maybe as a DM doing NPCs, helped with, like, kind of cement those skills. I was never very bad at it, but, you know.
Oh my god. He can't go, like, 1 point without complimenting himself.
I feel like if you're not the best at getting to know new people, but like you're being forced into social situations with people you don't know, running a game is actually a really helpful way to solidify that relationship quicker and on your own terms. A couple years ago, my ex had me run a game with her friend group, and I didn't know any of them. And I was, apprehensive. They all knew each other for years. I didn't know any of them, but I was like, okay, well, I'll come in. And honestly, running the game, I think, helped quite a bit, because you got to know everyone sort of on your own terms through the characters and through everything else. So, like, it's different from, I think we talked a little bit earlier about playing games with strangers. But running a game for people that either know each other already or are strangers to you lets you sort of interact with them and get to know them on your own terms, because as shitty as it is, like, being the GM, you do kind of have all the strings to pull. You're able to sort of just get to know them in a way that you're comfortable with and at a pace that you're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a helpful thing you can learn and use RPGs for in real life. I say ending in my sentence like I was ending an essay question.
Is there anything we want to talk about how things have been detrimental, or things that perhaps you've picked up from RPGs that might not be the best?
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Yeah, go for it.
Because the one thing that keeps coming to mind is our apocalyptia deterioration. I know that we had a podcast about it, which was we talked about it very briefly, right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, short story, we were all playing this game, and some of us were thinking it was going to be more collaborative. The rest of them were out for blood, and it was really stressful, I know specifically for me, because I was trying to play a game with friends and trying to get along, and I was just murdered a lot, and it was really sad.
You were murdered once. That's not a lot.
The second time was in my soul of hearts when I was banished.
I see.
But it put a lot of strain on friendships, and I felt that we all were taking this game so seriously, trying to win in different ways, that it really hurt our friendship as a group. And it was really scary, because I thought I was going to lose my friends. And I really think that the intensity that I get with games is something that's really hindered me, because I love them so much that I sometimes get too into them. And I feel like there needs to be a clear distinction that it's okay to take things from RPGs and learn from them and build from them, but when it becomes a line where you can't tell your friend apart from their character and you don't know what's going on, you guys should have a distinction. Talk to your friends, talk to your players, and I feel like that's something I personally can do better with.
Bouncing off of that game, because
It was intense.
Well, not even that. Like, I feel like I learned how to, debate with people really well. I feel like that the whole meetings every...
Council meetings?
Council meetings every session.
Oh,
Council meetings.
Helped get my debating side out, but it also helped me learn or find ways to both lie and manipulate my friends into believing my character, which feels like a mean thing and a bad thing, but you're supposed to do that in game. Especially when you're making the wrong choices. But I don't think it ever got that bad for me. I did not think that any friendships were at risk.
Crying at that last part. Remember? It was
That's-
you, me, somebody else was crying. It was
No,
a hard night.
I don't. Did I cry? I didn't think I did.
I don't remember.
I didn't think I did. I think I got upset because somebody tried to call me outside of character some form of negative connotation that I don't remember. It might have been something like a Nazi or something like that, and it upset me.
I remember that, yeah. Someone definitely called you, yeah, because of the thing.
Fascist. We called you a fascist.
That's right.
Which is accurate.
To what your character?
But it felt like you were calling me and not
I
my
see.
character that. And that's what I meant. Like, I knew it wasn't supposed to be directed at me, but the way it was being phrased was, it felt like you guys thought that honestly about me, and then I felt real bad. But outside of that confusion, I think the game was very tense, but useful in the fact that I can debate properly and have a conversation with somebody and argue my points more efficiently, as strangely as that may sound.
That's an interesting distinction with games. Some groups are very content to have the dice determine how well they debate or convince or flirt or intimidate. Other groups are more role-play centric, and you have to actually use your words and real charisma to do things. I'm a fan of a blending of the two, personally, but for this topic, I don't know, I like that our games can get so intense, for lack of a better word, that someone's impassioned speech might move you, or someone's cry of fascism might wound you. And I think that you have to absolutely watch out for, after the game, be like, hey, I didn't mean that about you personally, just so you know, but that was an awesome roleplay sesh, bruh. Because you can't have any serious conversation. No, you have to put in
You gotta put
joke
bruh.
words,
Yeah,
bruh.
yeah, homie.
But I would never want to see a group that, I don't know, blandifies their games. I'm rambling a little bit off topic here. It's a good playing field for practicing your debate, or public speaking, or improvisational skills. If that makes any sense.
I very much enjoy the combination of the dice and also talking, because frequently it'd be like, roll the die, and they'll be like, this is what I got, and then it's just like, what do you say? And then people usually like falter for a second. I know I do that a lot too, where the GM is just like, you're going to succeed, but how far are you going to succeed depends on what you're saying, and I feel like that's important. And it helps in just talking, in public speaking, and in general coming up with things that make people feel better, freak people out, or convince them that you're right. I know I've had a lot of good feelings, and not just negative ones, in which a friend rolled their charisma or diplomacy and then proceeded to put tears in my eyes as they spoke of friendship and how far we've come as a in-game team, and it's really made me feel closer to the people that I game with when things like that happen.
Aww.
I like to use my characters also as ways of understanding other people, taking on into my characters traits of other people that I wouldn't necessarily say I envy, but that I don't really understand. My example being, I have played several characters who are deeply religious, because that's something that I really don't wrap my mind around it as a person. And it has helped me to understand, quite frankly, some members of my family. Going into that character, reading up on just the ideology that goes into, in this case, a very religious person, like the types of the ways that their thought processes are different from mine. I've gained a greater understanding of them, and in all honesty, a greater respect for them.
I feel very similar, but I always play the same type of character, but for our... yeah. Our Apocalyptia actual plays, the first one we did on the podcast, I decided to play something very different for me, and I played a mom. And, it was very interesting, instead of being the giant sleuth that I am at all times. to take care of someone, but to be not the dependent one, but to have a dependent. And it really put in perspective of my character's motives, and it really made me think. And I spent a lot of time thinking about Kimiko, my child, my pure being.
What was her name?
Kimiko. Kimmy. Leave my child alone. I will ride or die for her, which I almost did. But it really helped me think about priorities of a character, and I felt like I wasn't just playing my normal things. It really helped me, I don't know, be more caring. I cared a lot about this fake child. I felt like it was a really great experience, and I really enjoyed playing something different with everybody else. But,
It was pretty amazing to watch you absolutely fail at being a mother.
Oh, wow! I thought I was really decent. I got her there alive.
I can't
I
think
took
of how
a
many...
bullet in the brain for her.
You left her in cars.
If you
They
didn't
were
have
safe.
if you didn't have Randy the cameraman to babysit,
Yeah. Listen, Randy was a great step-in dad.
Haley, have you ever, been around children?
Oh god, I hate children.
Right.
Fake children are great, because they just do exactly
She
what I
thought
need
she was
them
a
to
good
do.
mom.
I was a great
If
mom.
that helped you learn to care about other entities,
Yeah.
living
Like a
beings,
cat.
then that's great.
Like a cat.
But I'm also very concerned about where you were before you learned to care about living entities more, because that child's gonna be, fucked up.
Well, it's
It's
the
gonna be,
apocalypse,
fucked
of
up in the head.
course. But,
Oh.
one, I got her there alive, so therefore, Mom of the Year. Two, I really don't for someone as charismatic and outgoing as I am, goddamn do I hate people. They're the fucking worst.
Didn't you, give her a thermometer to play with once? An old leaden thermometer?
Mercury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Mercury, not lead.
Listen, it was the apocalypse. I
was
had to
lead in
make
it, too.
do.
Alright, Haley, remember how earlier I made a comment about how at least none of us said that RPGs helped us learn that actions have consequences?
Yeah.
I rescind that.
Wow.
I once played a very headstrong, power-hungry character, and it made me realize how hungry for power I am.
Horrifying.
Wow.
Big fear.
Like
Fascist!
Machiavellian?
a little bit.
I don't.
My Dragonborn.
Oh, yeah.
Dargenborn.
Yeah, I honestly, I wish I had something really noble to contribute to this conversation, but, I play a lot of Russians.
I've been ripping apart my friends all day, man. Don't be noble.
No, but I don't have, I just play a lot of Russians. And it's not because I want to understand Russians. And it's not because I love Russia. I play an abnormal amount of Russians in games.
Katie, it's fine. I literally just play me, but with different haircuts.
That's a good point. Initially, when we planned this topic, I was afraid that I was going to have to step out. Probably still should have, let's be honest. I've done nothing but be a detriment to this podcast today.
Jesus Christ.
However, I, at first, was going to step out because my characters early on were just me with different haircuts. It's a really funny way to put it. I would use RPGs as a, fantasy fulfillment, but not in a creepy way. I got to the first game I ever played was D20 Modern Survive the Zombie Apocalypse game. And I got to make a plan for once that actual Kyle Perkins would make. 17-year-old Kyle Perkins anyway. And see how it would play out. And that was neat. And so my initial thought was I'm not learning anything, I'm not working through my problems by putting on a persona. But you have to look at not just the way you play your characters, you have to look at everything you do in an RPG and how that might be helping you even without you knowing it. And so then I started to think of the other actual legitimate stuff I've said today, become more confident, etc. I don't know if I've played a character that is wildly unlike elements of myself. I'm bad at that. I'm bad at playing someone I struggle with people who are religious, so I'm going to play a religious character. I've never done that.
What about that one game where we all played each other's characters? Where we made characters
That
for the
one
other?
shot.
The one time he DM'd?
No.
We had a 3-person DM.
Oh, the one
Yeah.
where you're right. No, I forgot. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about a different
The
one.
one where I played the, big, strong, dumb guy.
Where Jordan played the sassy cheerleader.
Maybe. I mean, I just kind of put on my, like, the Wabbits, George, like, kind of guy. I don't know.
You're kind of playing Lenny from...
Yeah. And someone really should have put a Luger to my head. I was useless.
I think the only time I played a character that was like wildly different from myself was the Twi'lek I played in the Star Wars game.
Oh, yeah.
She was like a pilot, and I played Kyle Perkins. Wait a minute. That's what happened there.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I can understand, like, wanting... Like, I will sometimes play characters that are kind of like me, but are significantly at either different points in their life than I am, or are from completely different backgrounds than I am. So it's kind of like, what would it be like to play, like, if this sort of person had this happen? You know, I've played a couple single dads, hopefully not as badly as Haley played
Wow.
parent. But
Are your kids alive? Did they survive?
Yes.
Oh, well then okay.
I think that with the religious thing, you know, like Clayton, I imagine given that you have those family members, you can accurately roleplay that enough to help you get that understanding. But like a lot of the things that I do, I feel like I don't understand enough. So therefore, it's like, how much am I just projecting my idea of these things versus and actually gaining an understanding of people that are actually like that in real life? If that makes sense. So like playing a single dad. You know, I don't have kids. I probably never will have kids. But like, and I'm not even around kids. Like I have a younger brother. He's 3 years younger than me, and that's it. Like I've never really been around kids at all for most of my life. So it's like, I don't actually know what it's like to take care of a child. Therefore, how well is my role play of a single dad?
Apparently better than mine.
Well, usually...
Well, I mean, at least I didn't give my kid a mercury thermometer.
Okay, that was a joke. She didn't do that.
From what I remember, it was usually the single dad without the kids. Like, you were just playing...
Yeah, usually the kid was, like, kidnapped, or I had to go save him or something. I'd just be like,
I never had to save my kid.
Fuck you. I'd just be like, God damn it, where's my kid? It's like, you know, where's my wife? But I'm not married because she's dead. So it's like, where's my son?
That's the one thing I haven't done is played, I think, a mother.
It's terrible.
No, you've played a mother in Katie's unfinished historical fantasy game. We had 3 kids with
You're
Kyle
right!
Perkins.
And we were the best family.
Viking family.
Viking fan.
Was Andy a mom? What'd you think? She's more of like a
No.
glorified babysitter.
Glorified nanny,
Yeah.
actually.
I do have a thing, which is kind of selfish, but when I started playing games...
RPGs have helped me to be less selfish.
Actual
When I
quote,
started
Haley.
playing games, the first character I made was Beyonce. Like, I'm not lying.
Oh, no.
Her name is Bae the Fae.
We've talked about
no.
her before.
I know, but I created her because I wanted to make the essence of everything I wanted to be, which was Beyonce.
But you just, like, wanted to be
And-
Beyonce?
No, I wanted the desirability, the flawlessness, the perfection that is
You can't,
Beyonce.
You can't be a god. I don't understand what...
I ended
Wow.
up marrying a demigod, so yeah,
You know,
I can't be a
Beyonce
god.
eats her cereal with a fork.
She can do what she
That's
wants.
clear.
She's
That's clearly
also-
the best way to do it. Beyonce's
Wait,
doing
wait,
it.
I do have an actual
She
point.
once went to an In-N-Out Burger and didn't tip.
Oh, that's that one time. Oh man,
She's also, like,
I'll write her
married
off.
to Jay-Z, and they pretty much run a racket of the modern pop
We're
and
not
hip-hop
here to talk
music
about
industry.
Beyonce. Anyway, so about Beyonce, I created her because I wanted the pinnacle of what I felt was desirable. Because I always play these over-sexualized characters, these very effeminate, flirtatious characters, and these are all things that I've always wanted to encompass in myself. And the more that I play games, I realize that I've been playing characters who look more like me and act a little bit more like me, and I felt like that's helped me feel more desirable and attractive and more comfortable in those aspects that I normally bring into other characters. And I really appreciate that. Like, the past 3 characters I've been currently playing are very close to who I am. So it's kind of the reversal of that way I used to play very outlandish. Like, I'm not Beyonce. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not. And then coming to a place where I feel more comfortable pulling parts of myself that are very clearly correlated. And I don't know, it makes me feel better about myself. That's all I got.
I like playing characters who are kind of dicks and do bad shit, because it's fun to do bad things, and I'm afraid to do them in real life.
I relate.
The Kyle Perkins story.
I like to play very legitimate scientists sometimes because it's what I see as my ultimate self. is like an awesome scientist making differences in the world, because like in 2018 and science funds being cut, it's like impossible. But like in your email game, I was going to be like a forensic scientist living on our own in a big city, being super successful, and then everybody disappeared, so couldn't be successful.
No, that's my fault. I quit responding. That's literally
no,
it's
like
all
in
my
the
fault.
game, everybody
Oh.
disappeared.
Man, it's fun to do bad things.
It was fun.
We should talk about therapy in games because I have a very interesting thing to go on that.
Well, then let's go ahead and talk about our final aspect, which is characters as therapy. Before we actually start talking about this, I want to just say a couple things that I've done this a couple times. I'm probably only going to talk about one of them today. It is a dangerous road to go down. I have a philosophy in life of do not ask questions if you are not prepared to deal with the answers.
It's a good philosophy.
It doesn't mean you have to be ready to handle the answers. It's just you have to be mentally okay with getting the answer. You can deal with it however you want afterward, but if you don't think you're ready for the answer, don't fucking ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
That answer might not be something that you want the answer to be, even. Like
Right.
That. Yeah. Mm. That's interesting.
So, that being said, does anyone want to start off talking about characters as therapy?
Well, I just have a really interesting, like, very related thing. Before I even started playing RPGs with y'all, or ever, I was very interested in the concept of inmates playing Dungeons and Dragons, because there is a couple of prisons. It's not actually many of them, surprisingly. It's probably more now, but back when I started reading about this, it wasn't many of them, that use Dungeons and Dragons as occupational therapy for inmates that are set to be released. Oh god, I hate the terminology for prisons, but anyway, they would play D&D to help people with anger issues and help them learn how to work as a team and how to interact with people on a more helpful level than, like, this works particularly well for people that were, like, raised in very crime-heavy areas and, like, were in juvie a lot, etc., to help them, like, learn how to interact with society in a way that is helpful rather than detrimental. And it is extremely useful for them, and it is really promising results, and I kind of think that more prisons should do it. Anyway, it's my favorite thing that I was really interested in even before I started playing RPGs. I just think it's really rad.
So I'm going to talk now about a character that it was for a game that I've never actually got running. It was for the Geist game. I created a character who quite literally was myself. Name was me. Stats were as close to what I felt like my real world abilities actually were. There was a difference, though, between that character and me. There was a point in time where things diverged. The event where things diverged was for this character when my wife had surgery about it. God, how long has it been? It's been a year and a half since she had that first surgery. The difference between me and that character was that when she went in for surgery, she did not come out of the surgery. So this character was an exploration of how I might deal with the loss of her. I'm really glad that this game did not actually get played because, like I said, in the game, she had this surgery and she didn't come through it. In real life, she went through the surgery fine, and then 3 months later, she had another surgery, and the first time that we went to the hospital for the surgery, after about 2 hours, which is way shorter than what this surgery takes, the doctor called me in to talk with him. It was a very, very minor complication. She was fine, but at that moment, I realized how I would have fucked up if I had played that character.
Really?
Yeah. So, Nina, thank you for not playing that game.
The character was the mistake, you mean?
It would have been a huge mistake for me to play that character.
Huh.
So, I'm glad that everybody... I'm kind of glad it fell through. I don't think I was quite ready to run that kind of game, also for your sake.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I could not have predicted that 2 months later
Yeah.
like after the initial shock, when I was leaving the room to talk with the having talked with the doctor And knowing that she was okay, I was like, oh my god, I'm so thankful I did not actually play that character. Because I don't think I would have come out of that meeting. Like, I would not have gone into that meeting
in a certain headspace.
Yeah, I would have gone in with that mentality of that character. Like, knowing, like, it was hard enough going in there wondering what the hell went wrong. Because whenever I play a character, I really delve into the character's psychology. I really do my due diligent research on whatever aspect of the character I'm exploring at the time. I really like to use characters to explore aspects of the world and aspects of myself. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this particular topic. But, yeah, I thought I was ready to answer that question. Turns out I wasn't.
I don't think anybody ever is.
Because I thought the danger had passed.
Yeah.
Kyle, you got a joke to lighten the mood?
Balls.
What's pasty and white and doesn't know what to say?
Penguin.
It's Kyle.
Can you
See, I went
reiterate
for...
that? Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say, I went for, like, lowbrow humor there. You didn't go much higher than me. But yours was more top shelf.
I was formulating something about how it's impressive, and this is a rant I've been on before, but it's impressive that you can view RPGs through these kinds of lenses, through a lens of therapy, through a lens of education, through a lens of integration into either back into society after incarceration or into other parts of society, and yet the best we get in mainstream media is fucking Big Bang Theory. I don't know what to say about it right now, but that's a good feeling to me. It's a reason why I wanted to be a game developer. It's a reason why I have respect for RPGs and the people who play them. It's the reason why I'm doing this podcast. It's incredible to me, really, that these types of heavy occurrences in real life could be worked through in any way in a game. Can't be the only one alone in thinking that.
Well, I know I have an example for why you shouldn't do this. And I have an example of why maybe it's okay. In my experience, at least. I talked a little bit about on this podcast about I played a character, I think now a year and a half ago, that was very incredibly upbeat, just always smiling, very sort of positive force in the universe. And I played that character at a time in my life in which I was none of those things. And so this character was an attempt for me to sort of do the things that I physically and mentally could not do at the time. And, be positive, be optimistic, smile a lot, have fun. And so I really invested myself into that core aspect of that character and sort of, using that to sort of therapeutically get through things. And unfortunately, I talked a little bit on this podcast about how that ended, and didn't end well. That character got messed up. He got pretty much beaten down. And so all that did, in reality, was confirm my worst fears about, like, the world, and about, not the game world, but, like, reality and other things for a long time. Eventually I pulled myself out of it thanks to some things happening. To summarize where that character went, or to sort of wrap up that point of that character, you just gotta be careful if you are doing this, because if it doesn't work out the way maybe you want it to, or the way you don't expect, you could end up worse off for it. I know I definitely did. What happened to that character, even though it was just in a game, because I sort of invested myself in this character as a form of therapy, didn't end well.
But to be fair, your DM has decided right from the get-go that your character's story would be tragic and didn't tell you and didn't let you change that.
True. I also didn't tell him, I guess, that I was like, oh, I'm pretending that D&D's therapy.
You shouldn't have to, though. You should not have a DM deciding your character's outcome before session 1 even begins.
Hear, hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Though I do feel like if you're going to be using, for a very specific thing you need to get over, if you're going to be using D&D as therapy, you should tell at least your DM so they know not to, really fuck you over.
Right.
Well, that's actually an interesting point. Telling a DM, hey, I'm using this character as a little bit of, personal therapy to work through something, might that affect the DM in many different ways that aren't going to be good for you?
You don't want them to, throw you softballs.
Right, they're going to baby you, or they're going to walk on eggshells because they're uncertain about exactly what might set you off.
Well,
Obviously, conversations can be had to solve this, but...
Well, imagine talking to your friends.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if any GM cares about their players, they'll know that if you're going through something, and, you know, usually if they're very like, man, happy characters aren't a thing. I'm going to make this character as miserable as possible and literally put them through torture and hell. They wouldn't do that. They'd make it hard, but they wouldn't literally torture your character.
And the dungeon master or the game master is one of the things that makes the game master is that they have the authority to say, no, that character really isn't going to fit in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I am not equipped to deal with that in my
That's
game.
fair. On the flip side, though, I do have I've only ever played 2 characters as a form of therapy. And the second one is, I suppose, an argument in favor of it. It was after the first one, maybe 2 or 3 months down the line. I was playing a character that was older, very burnt out, very angry, sort of in a similar place that I was in my time, sort of lost on life, didn't know what they wanted to do. And sort of throughout the course of the game, although obviously, you know, it being pseudo-fantasy was never really going to give me an exact framework for what I want to do in my own life. But I was able to work through some of my own issues about what I wanted to do through that character, and sort of this character rediscovered their sort of passions and like what they want to do in life, and I sort of did the same thing. And I like to think, while obviously there was a lot of real world stuff going on that helped me too, being able to interact with those. I guess what it is being able to interact with those problems, not directly. Like you're interacting with issues similar to you, but through a different lens and through a different face. And you're able to sort of maybe get some insight into yourself that you wouldn't get otherwise if you're just like, you know, sitting down making a list of like pros and cons for going to a job interview or something, you know. So that's I think my secondary sort of explanation. So that's my one in favor and my one opposed. So I'm sort of on the fence about it. I think I can see both sides.
I know that you did that specifically with those characters. Like, you thought about it and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and, like, this is how it's going to help me, etc., etc. I guess maybe not that in depth, but, like, you thought about it. What's interesting is that shit happens on accident. Like, you could go into the game and not think it's going to, like, be, like, a therapy session for you, but, like, it is. Or it ends up helping you in the same way it would, which I think is really interesting.
When I was playing Vamps in the beginning, I was playing with my current partner. And then we suddenly broke up. And it was very difficult because it was getting up to our session day and I didn't know if I'd have to see that person. And it was a very, very messy breakup. And so I went, apparently they had contacted the DM saying they're no longer playing. We didn't know what to do with his character. So, in game, we were all bloodbound to each other because we decided to do a blood ritual. Don't need to go into that. But we were all bloodbound to each other, and we woke up in the session, and his character's missing. And we had an entire session to deal with the fact that this character is no longer involved. The character died. We had a moment to talk about it, to say if we wanted to follow this plot point and deal with it. And it was really helpful that the DM and my friends were there for me to help me figure out how to deal with this and learn that not only does my character not need this person in their life, that we can have a game and have a plot outside of them, but it also helped me as a person. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that I needed that, but my DM did. And I really, really appreciated that they took that time. It was like very therapeutic for me. And you know, we joke about it. I still can't even goddamn remember that character's name.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it was like Kustra or Dimitri or one of those. It was like some weird name.
Dimitri or Kustra.
One of those.
Yeah, but it was really, really helpful. And it grounded all of us and it made us stronger as a party. But, you know, unexpected therapy sessions are really nice and welcomed. And I really think that was one of our best sessions.
And when it is a character going through something like that, there is a degree of detachment between character and player that can give just a little bit of clarity or perspective on the events as they unfold that you might not have in the real world. You might not be able to gain that slightly different perspective that allows you to see it differently. All right, guys, let's stop this bullshit and start rolling some dice.
Dice sound
Chugga, 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 clack, 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 clack.
You know how dice sound.
This has been a production of Alien Familiar Media. You can find past episodes and more at alienfamiliar.com. You can email us at alienfamiliarmedia@gmail.com. This production is protected under a Creative Commons non-commercial attribution, no derivatives license. Music for this episode is Suburban Outlaw by Forget the Whale and can be found at freemusicarchive.org.